The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, it's Steve Raitt from the website and welcome to today's Internet helpline. We're going to be working on your success websites today and making sure that everything is great for your online marketing. Today I've got Christy Filion and Dave Raitt from my office, both on the line, and Christy has a new presentation, top 10 best campaigns or best practices for online success. So she's going to go through that today, and hopefully we'll be able to take some questions as well. So how are you doing today, Christy?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks, Steve. I hope everyone's ready to take in a bunch of info here today. I was sort of given the task last month by Craig to put together a top 10 list, and as I was sort of going through the process of setting up this list, I realized that there's a lot more to making this a success than just running great campaigns. So today we're going to cover some of the best campaigns, but we're also going to really dig into the best practices as well.
Okay, and we also have Dave. Dave's going to be monitoring any online questions. So if you've got questions, be sure to post them into the question section, and Dave will either pass them on or try and answer them best he can, and we'll see if we can get stuff going.
That's right.
So, okay, well, I'll leave you to it, Christy, and I'm sure this is great. I'm looking forward to seeing it myself.
Okay, great. So let's just get the screen going here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the top 10 campaigns, or you could say the top 10 best practices for online success. So obviously, we have a lot of information to go on here, as being so entrenched in the specific niche of real estate marketing online. We've seen hundreds upon hundreds of successful campaigns come through our system, and we get the question all the time, what is the best campaign? What is the best way to generate leads? What's the best way to generate buyer leads, seller leads, so on and so on. So we're going to go through some campaigns and some things that have worked very well for many of our members, but we're also going to really focus on the top 10 things that all of you really should be doing to make this system work for you and to find more success online, to grow your business online. So let's get to it. Let's first talk about the number 10, and that is to learn from the best. So many of you are on this call today because you are already practicing this. You already have committed to learning from the best. You learn from Craig Proctor, you learn from Steve Raitt, you learn from myself, and you really take it in. So there's more to it than just running a campaign and seeing what happens. You have to really kind of listen to what you're being told, listen to how you're supposed to be following up on these leads, watch the training, take part in the webinars, ask lots of questions, and make sure that you are testing these things, right? I do get calls and emails from some of our members who, they try a campaign within the first 30 to 60 days, and it doesn't work. Okay, they don't hit that home run right from the start, and they just figure that the whole system is flawed, and they give up, right? So that is not the way that you make this work for you, because a big part of making this work is to test different things, and then of course to reflect on the results. So if you test something, if you try a campaign and it just simply doesn't work, that is valuable information. Now you know what doesn't work. I'm sure that many of the coaches, including Craig Proctor, of course, would say that they spent thousands upon thousands of dollars testing campaigns that just didn't work. It may have worked for someone in a different marketplace. It may have worked well for somebody in a different town. It just didn't work for them. So this is part of the process. You have to test things and then really sit back and reflect on why perhaps that didn't work. and then we can always try something else, right? There's more than enough campaigns to try out within the system. Do not get discouraged if something does not work for you, and make sure that you're constantly learning. I know that we all practice this, myself included. I'm constantly learning, taking part in different courses, learning from other specialists, and I learn from many of you also every day during our conversations. Okay, number 9, Google AdWords. Google AdWords, top campaigns for buyers. If you are not currently using Google to generate leads, then you really are missing out on a huge, huge volume of traffic. Google is probably one of the best ways to get leads online quickly, cheaply. It just, you know, it's sort of in a class of its own when it comes to online marketing. And the reason why is because this is where people go to search for information. It is a research tool. There aren't many media outlets out there. Actually, I can't really think of many at all, other than maybe Kijiji, perhaps, or Craigslist, where people are going to search for specific information. So Google is where people are going to go to look for real estate info. They're going to go to look for homes for sale. They don't necessarily go there to look for an agent per se, but they do start there when they are looking for real estate information, especially listings. So you want to be found on Google. Now we've got this down to a fine science. We've been doing this for over 10 years. Like, I actually remember shortly after I started here at Success Website, Steve coming to us and saying, okay, there's this new program, it's called Overture, we're going to get started on it. And honestly, like, this was the beginning of AdWords. And talk about hitting a home run. Like, we immediately started seeing tons of traffic, tons of leads coming through this system. And then just over the last 10, 11 years, we've just been honing it, refining it, making sure that our clients are getting the same volume of traffic, but for as little cost as possible. So this is really our, I would say, our crowning accomplishment when it comes to online marketing and coming up with something that has been consistently effective year after year after year. The campaigns that we find to be most effective with the Google AdWords is the distress sale and foreclosure hot list. Now, I know that many of you have this, I don't want to say negative attitude, but okay, I'll say it. Many of you do have a negative attitude towards this campaign. A lot of you see the stigma around this particular hot list. And it may be because, you know, there aren't distress sales in your area. Maybe you don't have foreclosures. Maybe you think that anyone who's interested in that type of property is a very low quality lead. But I'll tell you right now, many of the people that you're going to get coming in from this campaign, they don't necessarily know what a distress sale is. They don't necessarily know what a foreclosure is. I mean, even here in Canada, we have very, very few of these types of properties. What people see is they see an opportunity to get a deal, and they see something that looks different from all of the other ads on the search results page. So it is a really effective way to get traffic, cheap traffic, and leads. So if you are still on the fence about this campaign, if you're not sure about running it, I would say just go for it. I know lots and lots of top producing agents in the Platinum program, coaches who have made this work for them and who have converted tons of these leads. And you know, they will certainly tell you that a lead that comes from this campaign is no less a quality than something that's coming in from just an MLS search campaign. You know, like, there are lots of companies out there, many of them which are our competitors, that will advertise just ads for a free MLS search, right? So people just want to see listings, obviously, so they go there and they maybe sign up to get access to the MLS. But they're still just in research mode. right? It doesn't mean that they're further down the line in terms of the, buying or selling. They're still just interested in getting real estate info. At least with this particular campaign, it's something that's specific. It's actually a good opportunity for you to show your expertise when you're doing your follow-up, and it has that element of scarcity. Okay, so this is definitely, I'd say, one of our most effective campaigns on Google AdWords. You can also do something like a new homes campaign. I do find that the more specific you get, the more successful your campaign is. So this one is in the Bellevue area. It is for new homes as opposed to the distress foreclosure properties, right? So just for those of you who may be brand new, and I can see lots of questions coming through. I'm glad Dave is here to answer those. But if you're brand new and you're just not quite sure what Google is or Google AdWords, it's the listings that you see with a little ad icon beside them when you're doing a search on Google. So that's why we've got these ones highlighted here. These are our ads too that I found, and I just found them actually by doing a keyword search. Okay, so you can do new homes. This one is in the Ottawa area. This is for, again, the foreclosure hot list. So you can see that the ads, they may show up in the top section, they may show up on the side. The big takeaway here is that you want to make sure your ad is above the fold. And when we say above the fold, that means people aren't going to have to scroll down to see your ad. You don't want to be on the second page. You don't want to be, near the bottom of the list. You want to be near the top. And I know that some of you have had bad experiences with Google, and hopefully not with our company, but with others, where the cost was very high. I've heard from some of you that you're worried that the cost for keywords is going to be $5 per click, that it can be very, very expensive to run Google Ads, and we would never recommend bidding $5 on a keyword, never. Okay, usually the highest that we will bid on a keyword is maybe $2. In some cases, in some markets, it's very competitive. We may go a bit higher, but we're only going to bid higher on those keywords if we know that those keywords are converting. So we are constantly monitoring the account, looking at our metrics, making sure that we're spending money on ads and keywords that are getting a return. Okay, so that's what we do. That's what we do as part of our management service, as part of the initial website setup service, because we will set you up with a Google AdWords account as part of your setup, and we can tell you if it's worth bidding more on a specific keyword because we know that keyword is converting. So don't be concerned with the bids necessarily, because we are going to try to keep those as low as we can. You do need to have a realistic expectation when it comes to budget, though, and if you aren't willing to spend at least $10 a day on this type of marketing, then you're just not going to see any results. Okay, spending $2 a day, $3 a day, $5 a day, that's not going to bring in enough traffic. Even $10 is pushing it. Okay, so you have to be ready and willing to invest in that because you need the traffic. We're not going to see enough traffic if your budget is too low, and you're just not giving yourself enough of a shot to make this work, to be honest. This does require some marketing spend. But the good news is we will be tracking everything every step of the way. Like, we're not going to be spending your money on things that aren't getting results, right? So yes, you do need to have a budget, but at least you know that you're not just throwing good money after bad. We're going to be testing everything. If you start with this specific campaign, the foreclosure distress, your chances of getting leads are pretty high. Okay, so that's definitely one that I would recommend. Okay, So let's talk a little bit about the Google, or no, not Google, we've already talked about Google. Let's talk a little bit about Facebook, pay-per-click. So Facebook, as many of you know, has become very big in the online advertising world. It is, I would say, probably second in line for generating traffic. You can get lots and lots of traffic from Facebook because there's so many eyeballs on Facebook. There's so many people just like, you know, scrolling through this stuff day in, day out, and that makes it a great source of traffic. Now, we noticed a huge change in Facebook probably about maybe 2 years ago, two to 3 years ago, when they started offering ad space in the timeline of Facebook. So those of you who are Facebook users, you know that when you go into your account, you are looking at your timeline, essentially. You scroll through posts that have been made by perhaps your friends, your family, pages that you follow. You will also see sponsored posts in there from advertisers. Now, there's a huge difference in Facebook from Google. Facebook is more like disruption marketing. So this isn't search, right? You are basically just getting in front of people who are likely to be in your area, within the age range that you want to target. So there is a big difference there, okay? They're not necessarily searching for things. But, I mean, disruption marketing is pretty much everything but Google. So don't think that you're going to get lower quality leads or traffic from Facebook just because they're not searching. Almost every other media outlet out there is disruption. So you're not going to say that, you know, newspapers, billboards, display ads, all that stuff is not going to work because we know that it works. Basically, Facebook is display. Okay, display advertising. If you're familiar with that concept, that's what it is. So a perfect example of what a Facebook ad would look like here is, let me just get into presentation mode. Here is a good example. This one is for a client out in Maryland, I believe, offering great deals on luxury homes in Upper Marlborough and Bowie, starting at $350,000 and up for a free list visit. And you'll notice that this ad has a couple of things going for it. You know, we've got a very specific page, okay, Facebook page that it's coming from called PG County Home Information, and when we're offering a hot list of luxury homes. So this isn't a bad one. You know, everyone, I'm sure, on the call today would like to get some more luxury buyers, and this one is for deals. So not specifically for closures, but we are offering some deals on this one. The picture is very specific. We've got a picture of a home that looks like it's in the area, that looks like it's more luxury. We also have consistency in our landing page. So I'm just going to bring up the landing page here so you can all see that. So if we go into here, and I'll switch over my screen to the landing page. This is what the landing page looks like. So we have some consistency here with the photo. We've got the same house. We've got our offer for a free hot list here at the top. And then we have a headline that is basically mirroring the headline that we had on the Facebook ad. So Upper Marlborough and Bowie luxury homes hot list. These must be sold. We've got the same price point here. Now this page does look different from what we would normally see on the website. Okay, so here we get into some talk about landing pages and the anatomy of a landing page and the importance of testing things. So we did we did many tests for these ads, and we tested the 2-column landing page layout, which is what you would normally see on the website. Okay, so what you normally see on a landing page is the content on the left with a headline, and then the form is on the right. We also decided to test a more linear 1-column page for Facebook. And we did find that throughout all of our tests, the linear 1-column version worked best for Facebook. Okay, that not necessarily the case with Google, not necessarily the case with Craigslist or Kijiji or whatever, specifically for Facebook. Could be a lot of users are on a mobile phone. It could be just that when people are on Facebook, they just want information very quickly. They don't want to scroll around. It's much more direct. So the more direct we can be, the better. And I find that this single column linear page steps them through everything in a very effective way. So quite often when we're running our Facebook campaigns, we will set up a landing page like this, and sometimes we even keep the form very minimal. We'll only ask for maybe a name, email, and phone, and then they can get access. Sometimes we give them access directly through the HDX, and then sometimes you have to follow up manually depending on what level of service you have with us. So I believe that the client here is Tyree Lewis. He's been working with one of our pay-per-click managers here, Jenny, for quite some time, and I know that he's getting a lot of leads from this. So that, I would say, is probably one of the most successful ones that we have going on Facebook right now. Let's see what else we can bring up here. Okay, so another great way to use Facebook is to offer specialty hot lists, okay, specialty HDX hot lists. And part of this kind of came from, working with specialists over at Facebook and talking to them about some of the challenges we were having. And when you're working within Facebook, you do have to think about the user's experience. Okay, you do have to think about when you're writing your copy, when you're providing your images, you want to give your Facebook users a maybe entertaining or an enriching experience as much as you can. So this is sort of a fairly new thing for us, because we've always been very focused on metrics and getting leads and using, a much more direct approach, whereas Facebook has sort of gotten our thought process much more geared towards the user's experience, which is probably a good thing. I think the more you think about that, the better. So one of the campaigns that we have had a lot of success with is for a specialty hot list. And these hot lists are in the San Diego area. This is a client of ours. His name's George Lormer. And what we've done here, and I'll just sort of show my screen, kind of showing a preview of the Facebook ad. So this list is specifically for downtown condos. And everything about this ad is offering a hot list of San Diego downtown condos. Now, there are a couple of things that you'll want to notice here. The page that this ad is coming from is relevant, right? It's not just some random page. It's not his business page on Facebook. It's a page that we've set up specifically for this offer, and it's got its own image and things like that. So the page should be consistent. And then we also have our ad copy. So downtown foreclosures, motivated sellers and developers, no investors, starting at $350,000. So a couple of things happening here. We are offering the foreclosures, but also putting the motivated sellers in there. So it's not just foreclosures, but people who really need to sell fast. So that could be estate sales, fixers, things like that. No investors, so we did not want to attract investors here. We've put the disqualifier there in the ad copy, and then we've got a qualifier of $350,000. That's what the starting price is. So when they click on this ad, it goes to an HDX squeeze page. So those of you who have the HDX, who have either myself or one of my pay-per-click managers managing your accounts, you should be using some of these pages, and this is really sort of a direct gateway into the hot list. So once this gets filled out, your visitor has instant access, and this is sort of getting back to the whole user experience part of it. You want to make sure that you're fulfilling your users' requests and that people are getting the information they've been promised. So, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we've created a hot list specifically of the downtown condos within the certain price range, that you can see them on the map. This is all real data, and they get access to it as soon as the form's filled out. So this particular campaign has generated tons of leads, and George is pretty savvy. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. But he'll go into Facebook, and you know what, we provided him with the tracking URL, the landing page, all of that. He has no issue setting up his own ads. He'll pick a very specific zip code that he wants to target, and he'll run the ads. He'll run the ads for maybe 2 or 3 days with a lifetime spend, or he might run the ads for, say, a week for $20 a day, right? But he's in control of when that traffic is coming in and when those leads get generated. And right now it's a really hot campaign. He's doing this for different areas, for different types of homes. We've got some for I believe I think that one of the hot lists that we created were for townhomes and maybe condos, or one was homes with pools. Like, there's all sorts of things that we can do with the HDX system to manipulate the data and create these specialty hot lists. So, I mean, I've done ones for members who wanted to attract empty nesters who were looking for bungalows in a certain area, right? Like, we can get that into that niche or niche, as some of you would say, and really try to attract a very specific type of buyer or seller. So this is really cool. I love this concept because it does allow us to be unique, to offer something unique, not just offer straight access to the MLS. You're basically giving someone a predefined list, and when you follow up, you have a pretty good idea, what this person is going to be looking for. So that's really cool. Some cool stuff that you can do in Facebook there. Let's take a look at some other examples. If we get into, let's take a look at one for pre-construction. And this one did really well also. Another Facebook ad. So one of the new ad display options within Facebook is this carousel option. And some of you may have seen this. I don't know if my screen is sort of caught up here, but in the ad setup, you can put in multiple photos, and each photo can link to something. You could have them all linked to the same page. You could have them linked to different pages. We were offering information about this one specific development, right? So the client came to us. His name's Sam. He is in the GTA area, and he said, I've got this new development. I really, we have a big event happening this weekend. I want to get lots of exposure for it. I want to generate leads from it. And we set this up, had it run for probably about 3 or 4 days, and it just was huge. It generated lots and lots of traffic, lots of leads. He said that many of them weren't even necessarily interested in this particular development. They were just interested in buying. So you can use these things just to generate buyer leads, and many of them aren't going to necessarily want to buy that specific property, but will be interested, and it's a very effective hook to get them into your system. So as far as squeeze pages go, we've got this one set up to go to it's sort of like a modified VIP buyer page, and this is on our new responsive layout, so it does fit very well on mobile devices. If you scroll in, if you change sort of the size of the browser, but it's got information specifically on this new construction opportunity, and people can register for the event, they can register for plans and a price list. All the information is here. We've got some photos here. So this is, again, a really good example of how you can customize your landing page, like whether it be a VIP buyer page or perhaps a hot list page, and make it unique to your offer. If it's for a specific home, if it's for a specific hot list, type of hot list. I mean, we couldn't really link this to an HDX hot list because these properties don't exist on the MLS, right? So in this case, we would want to have a customized landing page. And you'll notice that we're not linking to anything else on this landing page. This is very focused. So we don't have menus along the top. We don't have menus along the bottom. The only place for your visitor to go is on the right here to fill in the information and get access, right? So that is a great example of how you can kind of customize your landing page and use Facebook to drive traffic, and it's cheap traffic too. So I think there's lots and lots of opportunities with Facebook. Highly recommend it. Again, we do manage these things for you. I'll bring up our management link here for those of you who are interested in that. We can set up all the Facebook stuff for you. So that is really only a management level service, Facebook. I mean, the Google we will set up as part of our setup because that's just something that we will offer. However, the Facebook does require a little bit more work, a little bit more expertise. We do require you to be at that management level service. So I'll post a link to this in our chat section here. Okay, so for those of you who are interested, just sign up on the page here, and one of our specialists will get back to you and have a little chat with you, figure out what your goals are and whatnot. Don't worry, you're not going to be automatically billed for anything, but we will certainly contact you and go through the necessary steps to get you started with the management. Okay, I do see that there are some hands up, and I will leave some time to answer questions for those of you who have them. I know that that's something that we can certainly do near the end. So if you do want to ask a live question, you can raise your hand, and we'll take about 10 minutes at the end of the call to answer some questions.
Hi, Christy. It's Dave here.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. We are getting a couple of reports on the queue here, maybe from people who joined the webinar late, that they're not seeing your screen share. They're kind of locked into the webinar waiting room page. So I don't know, maybe if you could try refreshing your screen share, or Andrea, if there's anything that you can do to fix that.
I mean, I'm seeing the audience view as being my screen.
Yeah,
and I did just refresh it again.
Too.
I'm getting
it here too, which would mean that.
I'm also seeing the screen. What I suggest, it depending on what type of device our members may be on, they need to log off and log back on, or try clicking the blue or yellow GoToWebinar icon in their toolbar of their device.
Okay. Hopefully, yeah, they'll get them out of the waiting room, because that seems to me like the go-to webinar maybe be frozen or locked up there. So hopefully the majority of you are able to see my screen. Okay, so what we're going to talk about now is conversion. So it's great to be generating all of these leads. We always spend a lot of time talking about leads and how to generate leads. But if you really want to make this whole thing, this whole system work for you, conversion is important. Now, follow-up calls, obviously, paramount. You got to be making those calls right away. But if you have the Success website, which hopefully many of you do, we also want to make sure that you are using the CP Gold follow-up plan. So this follow-up plan is unique to our system. We have pre-written emails, email follow-up, email drip campaigns that are here for you to launch as soon as you generate a lead. So when you generate these buyer leads, and this sort of gets down to the idea of permission marketing, many times you will get permission from your prospect, and this is based on the accuracy of the information that they provide. Okay, so you may get a fake phone number, but you get a valid email, right? Or you may get a valid phone number, but they're not picking up. Okay, they see a foreign number on the display and they just don't pick up. But they do give you an email account because that's how they want to receive their information. So I think that you should never rely on email as a way to convert, but you certainly want to take advantage of the tools that we have within Success website, within the My Leads, to follow up on your leads. So what I've got up here is the My Leads CRM. You all have access to this with your Success website. And in the My Leads CRM, there is a section for lead tools. This is where the follow-up plans are. Okay, so if I go into lead tools, go into follow-up plans, here is where all of the follow-up plans are. This one, for instance, the Craig Proctor follow-up for buyers, is really about offering valuable information. Okay? If you believe in the laws of reciprocity, you'll know that the more you give, the more you get back. So an easy way to give automatically, and what we're giving here is information, okay? The Success website comes with a lot of content, a lot of reports, many of which you're not going to necessarily use to generate leads, but you could certainly use information to those leads automatically, you know, for no extra time, money on your end, right? This can all be done automatically. So if you take a look at some of these reports, here's one, you know, how to save thousands of dollars when you buy a home. You can actually go in, you can edit the reports, you can take a look at what's here. Each one should contain a link to the report. Now you want to make sure that you're always sending your follow-up from a branded site. Okay, if you have the branded and the unbranded with us, which I hope that lots of you do, because the branded is really important, especially when it comes to converting. You want to make sure that all of your follow-up messages are coming from your branded site. Okay, the only time that you really have the unbranded working for you is when you're generating cold traffic, or you're generating traffic and you're generating leads. We know that the majority of people are going to be more comfortable leaving their information on an unbranded site. Okay, it's you know, they just want to get the information, and we know that's more effective. However, all of your follow-up, okay, whether it's an email, whether it's a call, whether it's you're leaving I don't know, you're sending a piece of mail as part of your follow-up, you know, which you can do as well, that should be branded. So in the lead tools here, you want to make sure under options that we're sending everything from a branded site. So when they click on a link to a report, they go to your branded site. When they get your monthly newsletter, it's coming from your branded site. And because they're getting all this information from you, as the law of reciprocity would dictate, when you are making your follow-up call, when you are getting ready to, to launch into your follow-up script, they've already received information from you. Okay, they've already received the value and therefore may be more open to talking to you. And I've heard from many of our clients that they do get replies to these emails, that people, say thank you for sending this to me. There's lots of things we can do actually in My Leads, and I'm not going to have time to really go through it all. I strongly encourage everybody to get into our Learning Center and listen to some of the webinars that we do on a weekly basis, Dave and I. Every Thursday, we have our Jumpstart Learning webinar from 3:30 to 4:30 Eastern, and I will take you through very specific parts of the system and really dig into that. So that's really all I have time to say about the My Leads and the follow-up tools right now, other than you've got to make sure that you're sending all your follow-up emails from your branded, and that you should really take a listen to some of these webinars and watch some of these specifically on the follow-up, because they are quite useful. Okay, so that is the conversion part. Now let's talk a little bit about listings. This is also something that many of you don't necessarily do properly, and that's to leverage your listings. So there are tools within our system that will allow you to assign SMS text codes to your listings. And you can have sign writers for these. You can have these text codes on your flyers, on Craigslist ads, on your any print ads that you have. And the reason why this is very effective is because it will generate leads for you. I've heard, actually I was recently at an event in Orlando. It was a platinum event, and Todd Walters was giving a 2-day sort of boot camp, which was really great actually. He really walked through a lot of the fundamental stuff that it's easy to forget and is absolutely essential to be reminded of from time to time. But the signs that you put in front of your listings can really do a lot for you. They can work for you. Now, you should always have a phone number on there, obviously. If you get a sign call, that's probably one of the best types of leads that you can get. But if you are to choose, between putting a domain name on the sign, like a specific domain name, or an SMS text code, I would probably recommend putting the SMS text code writer or sign writer before the URL, okay? Because, and I've seen this happen a lot, the URL will get lots and lots of traffic because people want to see the property, obviously. They want to see the pictures, they want to see the details, but you're not necessarily going to get a lead that way. You'll get lots of traffic, and maybe once they're in the site, they'll sign up for something, but you're not necessarily going to get a phone number or something that you can respond to, right? So if you are using the sign writers instead of a domain name, and we'll post a link to this as well, you will get these SMS leads. So people are, of course, they want that instant gratification. They may not be willing to pick up the phone and call because they don't necessarily want to talk to an agent, but they could easily pick up their phone, send in a text message to view more information on that property. And what you get as the listing agent, the one who's putting the sign there and who has access to all of the leads in the system, you get a lead that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't have a phone number, right? It doesn't have an email, but it does have that one piece of information that we are all coveting. That is the valid mobile phone number. So when you get that text message, when you get that lead, you've got a phone number that you can call. You know that person has been in front of that property. Are they going to necessarily buy that home? Probably not, but chances are they are looking. They are more now business than, say, a Google lead or a Facebook lead or another online lead. So the SMS sign writers, I would say, are really important. If you listen to our webinars on listings and SMS, you'll learn more about that. I did post a link to this particular page. They're $10 each, so it's not going to break the bank. You can reuse them. And we'll make sure that all of these codes are attached to your listings, and they do generate leads. So something that I would strongly recommend there. Okay, so moving right along here, we have our buyers in waiting. So buyers in waiting is obviously something that is going to compel sellers to work with you. So the question that I get often is, how do I get seller leads? How do I generate more listings? I need more listings. I've got enough buyers. I'm working with enough buyers. I need more listings. I mean, the truth of the matter is people who are searching online are looking for property. They're looking for homes. Okay, they're not necessarily looking for an agent. But all those leads that you have percolating in your system, chances are there are some sellers in there. So I would say, first and foremost, if you're looking for listings, start working your database. Pick up the phone, make more calls, and you are bound to find some listings in there. But you can also run campaigns, and this sort of gets into the higher level kind of big influence stuff that some of the Platinum members are doing, and that is to advertise the fact that you have the buyers. Okay, so here's some good examples of how you can make this work. I know that radio is a big source of high-quality traffic for these types of campaigns. So here's a page. This is Marnie Bennett out in Ottawa. And if you go to like marniehasthebuyers.com, it goes right to this page. So this is basically highlighting, why you need Marnie to sell your house, right? So again, sort of building up that influence. She has a radio show that she uses this domain name on. So the domain name is only used in the radio show, so we know exactly how much traffic is being generated from that. There's another one here. I believe it is Carol Has the Buyers. Carol is out in Arizona, in Scottsdale, and also has a radio show for this specific offer. So this is just that, 20 pounds of proof, or basically, what you want to have when you're walking into a listing presentation, and you just like throw down that stack of leads that are in your system already that you've been generating through Google and Facebook, and say, look, I've got a whole list of buyers here who are actually currently looking for homes in this area, a home just like this. So the seller doesn't necessarily care about, how much their home is worth. Like, yes, they're interested in that, sure, but to be honest, it's not hard to find out what like a general estimate of your home is. There's lots of online tools now for that. Even in the States, right? You can get sold data. So you don't need agents for this information anymore. But what you need agents for is to sell your home fast for the most money. And if you are going on a listing presentation and you really want to make an impact, you show them your book of business. You show them the buyers that you have who are ready to buy in this area. It's very, very powerful. All right, I do want to get to questions. So I am going to start really picking up the speed here. All right, so number 3, develop a kick-ass USP. All right, USPs, your unique selling proposition, is again going to be what gets you the listings. And I know that a lot of you are doing the home sold guarantee. Some of you do different types of USPs, like your home sold in a certain amount of time, or I'll pay you $1,000, or I'll waive my commission. There's different ways to spin it. but you have to really start to think about how you're going to set yourself apart from the other agents. This is more of a branded thing. Okay, so I'm going to go back to some of the clients, some of the examples here who I know are really sort of doing this very well. A lot of people will send out direct mail, follow-up mail to their leads, advertising their unique selling propositions. Many of you will have it right here in the top banner of your website, so your home sold guaranteed, or I'll buy it. There's lots of different ways to do this, but the goal is to really sort of think about what's going to make a difference to your seller, right? So the questions that you want to be asking yourself is, how can I help you? What is it that you are looking for? There's actually a really cool blog post that Craig Proctor did, and I'll post a link to this as well. But it's all about how to create your USP and be like one of a kind in your prospects' eyes. This is the blog post here. So I'm going to post this also in the chat section because it does kind of get into how to effectively develop your USP and the types of questions you can ask yourself to get started with that. But as far as converting, really, really important. You don't have to necessarily be offering a guarantee. I know that I'll go to one of our other clients here. I know I'm jumping around a lot, so I apologize for that, but I'm also looking at the clock and thinking that I'm running out of time. Flaherty.ca, Kevin Flaherty, he's put together a whole video on how his business is different. He's got this backstage tour. So if you really want to see how some agents are kind of going above and beyond to show what they do that is different from the competition, what they do to really market their listings, you can take a look at this one as well, because you don't have to necessarily do the guarantees, but you should have something, some sort of something that is unique to you that is going to answer that question in your seller's mind. What's in it for me? What are you going to do for me that is so different from the agent that I just interviewed? Okay. Number 2, moving right along here, is to find great affiliates. Now, finding affiliates, you all should be doing this already. So whether it's a mortgage broker, title company, home inspector, you as the real estate agent, you're kind of like the first step for a lot of these, well, obviously for a lot of these buyers and sellers. You're like the first point of contact. But many of these affiliates, are going to want to get a piece of that, right? Like whether it's getting a new mortgage, getting pre-approved, getting their home inspection done. So you can find and partner up with some great affiliates that can essentially pay for your marketing and hosting fees. Now, I would say like a great way to get started on this is to really first think about who you are currently doing a lot of business with. Do you like their company? Do you like their service? Do they provide a great service? Do they understand direct marketing and how it works? And do they have their own list or sales funnel? So if you've identified some companies that you can send business to, and you have, then I would just propose that you do some joint marketing, right? So you find your affiliates and you say, look, what I'm going to do is I can add you to my monthly newsletter. I can basically add you into my follow-up campaign so you and your business are introduced, fairly early in the game. You can also give your affiliates a special landing page on your website. Okay, so there's lots of ways that you can do it, but what the affiliates are going to be most interested in is the business. So don't be afraid to partner up with affiliates. Don't be afraid to offer incentives or Obviously, like, there are legal ramifications. I know that. I'm certainly not an expert in it, so you want to make sure that you've covered that. But if you do have an affiliate that relies on your referrals, there are certainly ways that you can take advantage of that, and just adding them to your website is probably a good start. So, and that's more of a branded piece as well, and we have done specific webinars on that. Okay, so now we're down to the most important here, and that would be the universal follow-up script. Okay, number one, make sure you master the universal follow-up script and therefore be the master of the universe. So this is really, really important, and I know a lot of you are probably going to be like, yeah, you know, of course I have to master the follow-up script, I know that. But unfortunately, I've been on the phone with many of you who really aren't following up with these leads the way that they need to be followed up with. I would recommend watching select scenes of The Wolf of Wall Street. I just watched it over the weekend, and there are some great scenes where the lead character, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, is giving sort of a motivational sales speech to his team, and you know, it's a little bit over the top, but the idea is that you keep calling these people until they buy or until they die, as you said. Now that's a bit harsh, but you really have to be willing to pick up the phone. The number one secret to making this whole thing work is picking up that phone and dialing. Okay? So that, I would say, is the number one thing. If any of you are going to focus on one thing today, pick up the phone, start calling those leads, and really, really become a master of the follow-up script. And I know that, you know, there's lots of calls, lots of webinars that Craig Proctor does, that James McDonald does. We've even done calls specifically on follow-up. And there are nuances to it, okay? So it's not just about reading the script, but it's about knowing when to emphasize certain questions and what needs to be emphasized. Like, for instance, I believe at the end of the follow-up script is where you make an offer. Okay, and the offer is to either, you know, call them back, or to have them come in for an appointment, or to put them on your monthly newsletter. And that is so important, that one section, and knowing what to offer at that time, that's probably not being focused on enough when you are doing your follow-up, when you're doing your calls. So I would really like to see more people doing that, and we can certainly go through that or answer any questions on that. But I would like to take some questions, and I know that we have a bit of time, so let's do that. Okay, Dave, I know you've unmuted yourself there.
It's me. I'm here.
Yes. Christy, Steve's.
We've had.
Oh, Steve's there too.
Oh, Steve's here too.
I'm here. That was a great presentation. We were only booked for an hour today for the call, so I'm not sure we've got a lot of time for questions.
Well, I'm willing to hang out for a bit. I don't know if maybe Andrea can let us know if that's okay, but if we need to wrap it up, we can wrap it up. But if we have a bit of time to take questions.
Y'all can go as long as you need today. We have nothing else booked after this, so if you want to go over time, that's perfectly fine for the members who'd like to stay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, why don't we do 3 or 4 questions and then try and tie it up in about 15 minutes then.
Sounds good. All right. So yeah, any live questions that you have?
Let me just interrupt one more time here. Anybody that if I know there's probably some people that do have to go. If that's the case, thanks for coming on the call today. We really appreciate it. Remember, we do these calls the second Monday of each month in the helpline slot. So we're doing for all the coaching members, we do the online call at the second Monday each month. So certainly, if you need to get a hold of us. What's the best thing to do if people need to have questions after the call, or they want to get set up with a branded or unbranded site, or HDX,
Sure.
or how do they get that going?
How do they get a hold of us? Yeah, that's a good thing to bring up. So I think that if you want to speak to somebody on the phone, we do have lots of people here waiting to take your call. So I would just dial our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-361-9527, and you can speak to a live representative. You can also contact us through email. We've got support@successwebsite.com. My email, I'll put in the chat section here as well, is Christy@successwebsite.com. Actually, I think I have it on the first slide here, so I might switch to that. And I just really encourage everyone to take part in our Jumpstart webinars. Again, that's every Thursday, 3:30 to 4:30 Eastern Time. And I also posted links to our management program as well.
Awesome.
Okay. So let's take some live questions. I see that we've got some hands up here. And I'm going to start with the one that I saw first, and I think that was Ben Stokes. So Ben, I'm going to unmute you here. Hi Ben, are you there? Okay, it doesn't seem like your microphone is hooked up. So we'll let you work on that, and we'll go to the next one. Let's talk to Ernest. Hi Ernest, are you there?
Hi Christy, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. I got a very brief question. I've noticed I've set up the HDX site, and that's a completely different website from my regular two sites. But I also noticed members, mostly on their branded pages, some of the ones you even showed today, have properties going on their main page. Is that an additional HDX? How does that work?
Are you talking about the listings showing up on the branded site, on the homepage?
On the branded page, right. Like mine is ernievc.com, and I don't have properties going on there. I do have an HDX site, though.
Okay. Well, have you added your properties to our system? Like in the listing section of the command center? Have you?
Most of them are added, yes.
Okay. So then it's probably just a matter of adding the widget to your homepage.
Okay.
Which I'll make a note of, and we just basically have to turn it on your homepage. That way, all the listings that you've entered into our system will get sort of a nice little showcase there on the homepage.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Anything else?
I just want to let you know Jenny is managing my Facebook ads, and she's doing a phenomenal job. She really is. She's the bomb. I mean, 15 leads in a week. I mean, it's more than I've gotten since I started the program. Awesome job.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. She is. She's fantastic. Thanks, Ernest. Okay, so let's take a question from Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
How are you?
Good. I had a quick question on having a reasonable Facebook budget. I know that you talked earlier on the call about Google pay-per-click. You said $20 a day, and then lifetime. What's a reasonable monthly Facebook budget?
A reasonable monthly Facebook budget. Well, Facebook is a bit different from Google, where you're not paying per click, right? So you can get some pretty cheap traffic from Facebook, which means $5 a day, you could potentially get some decent traffic from Facebook. So I would say, that would be the minimum, $5 a day. So that could be, $150 a month, or you could kind of pick and choose when you want to run those Facebook ads. Like some of the examples that I showed today, they ran the lifetime budgets, and they would say, put $60 or $100 towards a campaign and run it for a week, or run it for the weekend. So if you're paying more per day, obviously Facebook is going to show your ad to more people. You could potentially get more traffic. So I guess the real answer there is it depends on how much traffic you want.
If you do $50 a day for 5 days, lifetime budget, isn't that in essence doing the same thing as $10 per day, or does it just based on like the amount of clicks, then it'll basically stop even before you hit your 5th day, or how does that work?
Yes, if you set a lifetime budget and then also schedule it, if you reach that budget before the schedule is done, they'll stop the ads. You'll just see that the traffic pretty much disappears. So sometimes that can really, like, you might spend a lot of that in the first day. Like Facebook might just blast it out, in the first couple of days, and then you'll find that your budget is depleted by the 3rd or 4th day. But if you're sort of prepared to follow up on your leads on those days, and you've got the resources available to do that, then that's not a bad strategy, is to focus on generating leads on certain days. I know that the weekends tend to be quite good for Facebook traffic. Sundays, Friday nights, maybe there's certain days of the week that you find to be more effective, and that sort of gets into testing your market. Some people will say that certain days work best for them. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work the best for you. But if you run the ads on certain days and try certain days, which you can do when you're doing the lifetime budgets, you will find what works best for you in your marketplace, and then maybe just repeat that cycle once you find the best days and times.
All right, thank you very much.
I hope that answers your question, Jeff. All right, cool.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, we'll try Ben one more time. Ben, are you there? Okay, so we don't have Ben's microphone live, and that pretty much does it for the live questions here. Dave, were there any questions that came in over the chat that you felt we needed to maybe explain further? I know that you've probably done a great job answering all of those, but is there anything that we can answer before we wrap up today?
Well, I've done my best to try to answer as many as possible. We did get about 5 or 6 here at the end that I'm just trying to give some kind of an answer. If I'm not able to answer your question by the end of the session today, you can get in touch with us through all the contact information that I posted in the chat section there. Our phone number, support numbers, and Christy's direct email are all there in the chat window. So make a note of that information before we disconnect today. Or you can get all that information on our website, which is successwebsite.com. We had a question about where some of the ads and the landing pages you were showing earlier are ads and things that were created for people in our management program. We had a couple of questions about how people can sort of create their own versions of those landing pages. Is there anything that we can do to help those people?
Yeah, it is something that requires a little bit of HTML, CSS knowledge, and there isn't, unfortunately, an easy way right now for us to, give you the ability to do that. There's just too big of a margin of error there, unfortunately. I don't recommend necessarily getting into that. If you do want to replicate something or you need something set up, we may be willing to do that for like on a one-off, and then you can just simply copy it and modify it as you see fit. But those landing pages, that really is a big part of our management program, is that we're constantly testing different styles of landing pages and making sure that we are effectively generating leads for your unique area, and each area is different. So I guess the short answer to that is there isn't right now an easy way for people to sort of replicate some of those landing pages, but you can ask us, and if it's just a landing page and a style of landing page that you're looking for, then we can probably do that as a one-off for you. Just send me an email, and I'll see what we can do for you, okay? All right.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're at the 12:15 mark now, unfortunately. But I want to thank everybody for the questions that we had today, and hopefully I was able to give you at least the starting point for an answer. And again, if you do need to get in touch with us for any follow-up, or if there's something that I didn't get to, please give us a call, 1-800-361-9527.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for coming on. I hope that you found this information useful. I know that it's been recorded. I'm sure it will be posted to the coaching site, and we'll also post it up into our Jumpstart Learning Center as well. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks, Dave. Thanks to Steve. I think he may not be on the call anymore, but that concludes today's call. Have a great day, everybody.